Welcome back, everybody, to the Baltimore Orioles franchise here on MLB The Show 21. Today we kick off season number 4. Now, usually I would do a big stream for spring training, but I wanted to get through this regular season fairly quickly. So in doing so, we're going to pretty much hop right into the regular season. In the last episode, the offseason, we made a few big acquisitions, acquiring players such as Corbin Burns, Jordan Hicks, and Nick Castellanos. So this is what the lineup will look like for spring training. I figured I would spend the first few minutes of today's episode quickly going through spring training because I still think it is important to see how everybody did and how we are going to do our roster cutdowns. But I didn't want to dedicate a whole stream to it because I didn't really have time, and I figured a lot of you guys would probably want me to just jump right into the regular season. We're not going to be playing a ton of our key players. The goal of this spring training is to figure out who our final 26 is. So I feel like it's pointless to play a lot of our main guys who we already know are going to be in. So let's simulate the entirety of spring training now. And we did actually suffer a pretty big injury during the middle of it, with Heston Kjerstad breaking his arm out 1 to 2 months. That's a big deal because he was actually playing really well. 7 home runs and just 55 at bats. His batting average is low, but if he stayed on that pace, he would have started the year in the big leagues. So not having him for the first month or two is definitely a pretty big deal as we take a look at the spring training stats. Certainly some very interesting results, and this certainly gives us a lot of answers to our questions on how we are going to narrow down the roster. What I was really most curious about was the bullpen. With losing players like Taylor Rogers and Kenyon Middleton in the offseason, I knew that by putting a lot of the young guys on the 40-man roster, like Hundertwasser, Asuncion, Brooks, and Starnes, they would get their first opportunity to prove themselves, and the one who stuck out was Will Brooks with a sub-.6 ERA in just over 15 innings. Julian Starnes did not allow a run, but in a far smaller sample size. So as we cut down the roster, one of the more interesting players here is Reynaldo Lopez, who is now 30 years old. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and he's a good player. He's good. But I just don't have a spot for him on the team. However, I think it's a disservice to keep him in the minors, so we're actually going to trade him to a team who needs starting pitching, the St. Louis Cardinals, who are going to offer us third base prospect Jason Haskett, who I think is pretty solid, so we're going to take that trade. Eliezer Hernandez did not pitch in spring training, and I feel bad about sending him down, but there wasn't really any other choice I could make. I decided to keep Adrian Marjon at the big leagues because he had all of his minor league options used, and then the other pitchers were either clear send-downs or clear keep-ups. For the relievers, the big one will be Will Brooks staying with the major league team. I think he's ready. I think he's earned this opportunity to be a big leaguer, and I'm excited to see what he ends up doing. So as I made my roster cutdowns, I made a catastrophic mistake that I did not realize while I was doing them, and it's the fact that the amount of pitchers you can have on your roster may not exceed 13. So this initial 26-man roster had 14 starting pitchers, and I did not realize that until the start of the season. So then I had to make a change. And originally, I was going to send down Will Brooks, but I actually decided to do Travis Lakins instead, which I know is a peculiar choice because Lakins has been very consistent for us the past few seasons, but I really wanted Brooks to start the year in the majors. Blaze Jordan will jump back up from AAA to the majors. We pretty much wasted a minor league option of his, but oh well, I guess it's not that big of a deal. He's only a bench bat anyway. So here will be the lineup for the start of the season. I think we have a core 8 players, and then we're going to have Ryan Mountcastle and Christian Robinson rotate against righties and lefties with Mercedes, Cortez, and Jordan as the bench. The rotation will be Burns, Marquez, Means, Meyer, and Thompson. Yes, I'm going to give Max Meyer another shot, and yes, there's a solid chance I will regret it. Edwin Diaz will start the year as the closer, and him and Jordan Hicks will pretty much switch off as the closer. So we're going to be playing the Phillies in this opening episode, who broke the bank this offseason by signing Cody Bellinger and Shohei Ohtani. And they also have rookie Julio Lantigua making his debut. You may recognize this name because we almost drafted him in Season 1. Instead, we drafted a slightly more raw player of our first-round pick. And that player happened to be Louis St. John, who, of course, has made an all-star team before Julio Lantigua has even swung a major league pitch. So let's get this one kicked off. 2024 opening day here at Citizens Bank Ballpark. as the Baltimore Orioles, coming off a very successful season in which they were one win away from advancing to a World Series, take on the Philadelphia Phillies. Both of these teams had weak starting rotations a year ago, and they both have new aces, with the Phillies signing Shohei Ohtani to a massive 10-year contract in the offseason, and the Orioles trading for Corbin Burns from the Milwaukee Brewers. Regular starters 1-9 for both sides as we take a look at Shohei Ohtani, the two-way star. Well, he was not a star on the mound last year with a 6.16 ERA. That is not good, as he faces off against Louis St. John, who is now 20 years old. He was the fourth teenager in Major League history to make an all-star team, and he will start his season off with an infield single. That was a great effort at shortstop by Bryson Stott, one of the bright young stars of this Phillies organization. He is, however, unable to make the play, and that will bring up Nick Castellanos, who lines this one nicely into left field. That one is gone. Welcome to the Orioles, Castellanos. So it's a meme around the baseball community that whenever Castellanos hits a home run, something bad or tragic happens in the world. So what's it going to be today? Who knows? I guess we'll have to figure it out. Nonetheless, the Orioles will start this game quickly on the board. Nick Castellanos went deep 41 times last year for the LA Angels, and hopefully he can provide similar production with Baltimore. So here is Corbin Burns, acquired in a late offseason trade from the Brewers. Burns is technically a rental. He's only on a one-year contract, and the O's are going to have to figure out at the end of the season if they want to pay him long-term. Well, Burns gets off to a pretty good start as his first batter, Alec Boehm, would strike out on the slider. Two-way now for Harper. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Harper, in his 6th year with the Phils, goes down on the slider. Nice 1-2-3 inning there for Corbin Burns, who's been very good throughout the duration of this series, but he was pretty underwhelming last year, which is why Milwaukee was willing to trade him. Here into the second, it's Elliot Ramos who hits that one nicely into left center field. That's going to drop for an extra base hit. Throughout the playoffs last year, Elliot Ramos was, quite frankly, Baltimore's best player. I mean, he really ascended himself into possible stardom, so it's good to see him opening up his season off of a quick double. However, he might not be able to score with two away. It's the pitcher, Corbin Burns, up, who actually hit it pretty nicely into right, but Bryce Harper is there to make the play. Nice shutout frame for Shohei, and we will go further now to the bottom half of the second inning. Let's see if Corbin Burns can keep up his strong play, as it's JT Realmuto with a dribbler. Burns with a great defensive play, showing off that he's not just some pitcher. He also has some skills with the glove. Top three now. Adley Rutschman on the full count pitch. Watches a splitter sail right down the middle, and he will take a big cut at that, swinging and missing. Two away now for Louis St. John, who had a hit and scored in his last at-bat. He's going to get another one as that one goes down the left field line for extra bases. A two-out double for Louis St. John. And already LSJ, who really struggled at the end of last year's regular season, is 2 for 2 today. Nick Castellanos is now also 2 for 2 with a single into center. The speedy St. John will score, and the Orioles will make it 3-0. Nick Castellanos drove in a Major League leading 139 runs last year, and already today, through the first 3 innings, he has driven in 3. The Phillies lineup would go down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the third as the pitcher Shohei Ohtani would fly out to third. Corbin Burns has a perfect game through 3 innings. I just want to point that out. He has not allowed a base runner yet to this point, so he has certainly been worth the investment so far for the O's. Elliot Ramos strikes out. Nice pitch by Shohei Ohtani, who has not been phenomenal on the mound today. I wouldn't say he's been terrible per se either. Alec Boehm up, and look at that play by Corbin Burns again. 10 straight retired batters, but unfortunately he would not make it 11 straight batters as Jorge Padilla, the rookie, singles into center for his first Major League hit. Julio Lantigua is not the only rookie on this Phillies team. Look out for Jorge Padilla as well, a young and talented middle infielder. So that'll bring up Bryce Harper. He would strike out for a second time today. So it seems like that hit clearly has not fazed Corbin Burns, or at least not yet. Here is Cody Bellinger, who was signed to a massive contract in the offseason. Hits that one high and deep into right center, and that one is gone. 2-run shot for Cody Bellinger. His first home run as a Philly, and the Philadelphia Phillies will cut the lead down to 1 as it is now 3-2. Big home run there for Bellinger, but Philadelphia might not be done. The catcher, JT Realmuto, singles into center. I'm now just realizing that this game might have the two best catchers in baseball playing, with Realmuto and Adley Rutschman. Here is the freight train, David Peralta, with a single of his own, this time into left. And now Corbin Burns is starting to struggle. 2 on, 2 away for Garrett Cooper. Of all the people to have this at-bat and capitalize, it's Garrett Cooper. 3-run home run in the left center field. What has happened? The Phillies offense has exploded here in the 4th inning, and Philadelphia is now all of a sudden up by 2. It's now 5-3. But Baltimore is not going to quit as we open up the 5th inning. It's Adley Rutschman with a home run of his own, and both offenses are really coming alive here in the middle innings. Rutschman, the 2-time All-Star, with his first home run of the season, and the Orioles are now only down by 1 as it's 5-4. Louis St. John is 2 for 2 today. Going to try to make it 3 for 3, and he does! Louis St. John is more of a power hitter. Yes, he did hit around 270 last year, but he's known for his pop. However, he's showing off his clearly improved contact. I guess he worked on that in the offseason, and it's definitely paid dividends. Hanging pitch for Nick Castellanos, who's going to ground into a 6-4 3-double play. So this time, Shohei Ohtani gets the pest of Castellanos, and we will go into the bottom of the 5th. Corbin Burns is still in the ball game as he faces off against Jorge Padilla, who's going to fly this one out into left. Elliot Ramos will make the grab, and that'll end Corbin Burns' day. Burns pitched 4 perfect innings in this game, but he also allowed 5 runs in the 4th. So it's a very conflicting start for Burns, who was really good for the most part, but just had 1 inning that was really, really bad. Shohei Ohtani also being taken out of the game, as you can see. Jimmy Nelson is in for the Phils as he faces off against the second baseman, Jalen Miller, who rips that one into left. Miller now 2 for 3 on the day. He had a solid season last year and had a very weird postseason run, struggling early, but he was one of Baltimore's better hitters in the playoffs down the stretch. Marco Luciano now hits that one into right. Bryce Harper will run over to it to make the play. So a good inning for Nelson, and the Phillies currently lead 5-4 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. The rookie, Will Brooks, is in for the O's, acquired a couple seasons ago from the Cubs in the Anthony Santander trade. His first batter is Bryce Harper, who launches a nuke high and deep into center field. That ball will be caught. That was an awfully close call. I think Will Brooks is awfully relieved that that one did not go over the fence. His next batter, Cody Bellinger, will draw a walk, so Brooks, who was very good in AAA last year, very good in spring training, allows his first base runner. However, the following batter, JT Realmuto, will strike out for Brooks' first career K. Good to see him with an early strikeout. And then facing off against David Peralta, a little lefty-on-lefty crime, as Peralta lines that one out to center. And St. John had trouble getting to it. I had a heart attack on that one when I first saw it, but LSJ does make the play, and it remains 5-4 through 6. Good inning for Brooks. That'll end his day. And now we go to the 7th. It'll be the pinch hitter, Ivan Cortes Jr., who tries to lay down a bunt for a hit, and he is perfect. Ivan Cortes Jr., the speedster, will reach base, giving Baltimore a major opportunity to drive in a run. The Phillies are going to take out Jimmy Nelson as if allowing that bunt was his fault, and they will replace him with the former Oriole, Tanner Scott. Cool to see Scott still on the Phillies, still fairly productive as he faces off against Max Muncy. And Muncy's going to line this one into left field. That one will get by Peralta for extra bases. Ivan Cortes Jr. is fast, but he's going to hold up at third with nobody out. There's not really much of a reason to risk it, as the Orioles know they have a strong chance of driving a runner in. The catcher, Adley Rutschman, is up. He's going to fly this one into somewhat deep left field. Peralta will make the play, but that is more than enough room for Ivan Cortes Jr. to easily tag up. Muncy will actually advance to third, and this game is now tied up at 5. Great situational hitting there for the O's. So now there's one away here for Louis St. John on the 3-2 pitch. Can he get his 4th straight hit? Unfortunately, he does not, and to make matters worse, Muncy is unable to advance. So now there's 2 away. That's going to bring up Nick Castellanos, who is 2 for 3 of a home run today, and this ball is crushed into center. No doubt about it. Nick, Nick, what just happened? So with Nick Castellanos hitting 2 home runs today, I guess the tragic event happens to be especially bad. But nonetheless, the Orioles will take a 7-5 lead. Nick Castellanos now with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs in his Baltimore Oriole debut. Certainly well worth the $28.5 million he will be making over the next 2 seasons. So a big hit there from Castellanos off the former Oriole, Tanner Scott. And we go to the bottom of the 7th. Jordan Hicks, the former St. Louis Cardinal, is in. He was signed to a 1-year deal in the offseason. Had 57 saves a year ago with St. Louis. That's a lot as he faces off against Julio Lantigua, his first career Major League at-bat as a pinch hitter, and he strikes out. Jordan Hicks is an absolute flamethrower, by the way. He can throw upwards of 100, so just take note of that. Chris Martin is now in for the Phillies here in the 8th inning. He was their closer last year, and he had 48 saves, which is also a ridiculously high number. Elliot Ramos gets that one, but Padilla makes a great play. Ramos, however, will be safe for an infield single. So Elliot Ramos now with 2 hits here in the opener, as that brings up the shortstop Marco Luciano, who's been pretty quiet today. Very uneventful game for him, and, well, he will continue to be uneventful, grounding into a 6-4-3 double play. So the Phils do get out of the jam, and now the Phillies need to outscore Baltimore by 2 runs within this next inning and a half if they want to keep the game alive. Colin Poche, who had an ERA barely above 2 last year, is in for Baltimore as he would walk Bryce Harper. So Harper is now aboard. The tying run is up at the plate. A major opportunity here for Cody Bellinger as Harper tries to steal second. Forget about it. Adley Rutschman guns him down. Part-time ball player, full-time sniper. What a throw by Rutschman, and we go to the 9th. Christian Robinson in as a pinch hitter, and that one will go over the glove of Alec Boehm for a single. Robinson really was impressive last year in the postseason, really emerging late for the Orioles. Max Muncy now checks his swing, but the umpire says he does not go around, and he got hit by the pitch, so Muncy will advance safely. Now runners on the corners, 2 away for Castellanos, who already has 5 RBIs today. Unfortunately, he will not add another as he grounds out to second. Still a darn good debut for Castellanos. 3 for 5, 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. And now we go to the bottom of the 9th, where the Phillies need at least 2 to tie, and then 3 or more to win. Edwin Diaz, the closer, is in for the save. He was, quite frankly, the best reliever in baseball last year. I said that time and time again because he was just that good. As he strikes out JT Realmuto to open up the inning. 2 away now for Garrett Cooper, who has 2 hits today, going to add a 3rd as that one drops in front of Castellanos. So the Phillies have a runner aboard. The tying run is at the plate, and it'll be the shortstop Bryson Stott. Full count pitch, swinging a miss, and the Orioles will win their first game of the season. 7-5 is your final. A really fun opening day, certainly an exciting start to the season. And hey, the Baltimore Orioles are on pace to finish 162-0. Is it going to happen? Probably not, but hey, that's pretty cool. So our offense played really well in this game. 7 runs, 14 hits. Adley Rutschman had a home run, drove in 2. Louis St. John had a great game, going 3 for 5, scoring twice. But the notable performer here was Nick Castellanos. 3 for 5, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. He was great. Corbin Burns, I thought, pitched really well. 4 perfect innings, and then 1 disastrous inning. The bullpen was great. Will Brooks gets the win. He was very impressive in his debut. And then Jordan Hicks, Colin Poche, and Edwin Diaz all shut the door as well. So I think there's a strong chance our bullpen, like last year's, is going to be one of the best in baseball. The Phillies only had 2 hits, excluding that ridiculous 4th inning, so their offense really was never consistent. Shohei Ohtani kind of struggled. The bullpen was pretty meh as well. So overall, in my opinion, a really good start to the season for Baltimore, even if it wasn't necessarily perfect. I wanted to see if Nick Castellanos was in the MVP running. For whatever reason, he's not. But I did notice that he actually won the MVP award last year, which when we signed him, I didn't even realize. So there you go. Nick Castellanos has an MVP. Will Brooks, by the way, is 3rd for AL Cy Young. I know none of this stuff matters because we're 1 game into the season, but I still found that kind of funny. So I wanted to simulate to our home opener. So we're going to simulate the next 5 games, 2 at Philadelphia, 3 at Tampa Bay. and we would go 2-3 in that stretch. So we are now 3-3 on the season, taking 2 against the Phils and only taking 1 against the Rays. We have a few notable performers with Burns, Marquez, and John Means all starting the season off well. Adley Rutschman, Louis St. John, and Nick Castellanos are all doing great. But we also have some guys struggling. Max Meyer and Matthew Thompson both struggled in their first games of the year. Will Brooks' second inning of play saw him allow 3 runs. And then our first basemen have forgotten how to hit the ball. Rizzo and Muncy have really struggled. And for whatever reason, Ryan Mountcastle's just not playing. Elliot Ramos is also kind of struggling. So rather than doing the home opener, I wanted to simulate to the Angels series because I think the Angels are a little bit more interesting. So we're going to simulate past Toronto here, and sure enough, we would end up sweeping them. The most notable game in that group is an 11-0 shutout win in which German Marquez pitched a 2-hit complete game. Through 17 innings, Marquez has allowed 0 runs. Yeah, this is not the same German Marquez from last year, and that 3-year, $24 million contract looks awfully good right now. So I wanted to simulate to Marquez's next game because I wanted to pitch with him. So that's going to be the 3rd game of the Angel series. We lost the first 2, which is just awesome. So that will push us at 6-5 on the season. Normally I do 2 games per episode. However, for opening day, and since we were covering spring training, I decided to only do 1 today. So that will conclude this episode. Next time we will go through a normal 2 episodes. We're probably going to get through the most portion of April. That was really bad grammar. We're going to get through probably the rest of April or close to. So make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Peace out.